Okay, so fortunately this nut on here is free flowing. So, and I haven't I should have got it, I should have measured it and got my wrenches out for this to figure out which one it is. But you basically want to tighten it in so that the spades will be connected to the inside. Inside here, there's adjustability. We may adjust this one. We'll have to see what it's set at, preset at. They usually come. This is a Mazur pressure stat. Usually comes set at like a 1, 1.1, 1.2. I actually like to run them at 0.8. Run the boiler a little cooler. Okay, so that's really how that's going to fit on there. You can see it's really nice the way that's cleaned up. I also have pulled out some old tubes that I used when I put CPUs on computers. So this basically is a silicone paste. It's a thermal paste. You can see this one's called MX1, and I'm going to put a little bit of it underneath this fuse because what I want it to do, it should be silver. This hasn't dried out. This one looks like it's dried out. I have a couple more here to see, and this stuff is really a hard paste, so it's not runny or anything. So we end up putting it on the bottom here, and it's just going to pressure fit and ooze out after we set this in place. Doesn't have to be perfect by any means. And then I have a screw with a washer, and these are the ones I tapped into it, if you recall correctly. And I need my screwdriver, and so I'm going to, I won't tighten all these things down. I'll do it after I'm off camera, save us some time. But this washer fits on first, and that's just so that the fuse doesn't try to spin and break when we're tightening down on the screw. The screw, because it actually penetrates the boiler here, we're going to end up putting some Loctite on it. It's basically a thread locker because I don't want I want this leaking, and you'll see it. We're going to use it in one other location too. It's pretty easy to put on. I'm getting it all over myself, and drop the screw in place with the thread locker on it. And like I said, this hole and tapped, when we tapped it, there was drilled and tapped it, it penetrated the boiler, or this element base. So I want to make sure that it does not leak. So just get it snug. Got a nice thermal paste that's kind of oozing out over here. I can see it. So that'll get heat transfer to this fuse if need to be. Not be, it will be. The other side, because again, as I said, we penetrated. This was the other location in case I wanted to put the fuse over there, and I decided not to. So I have kind of leave myself options when I'm doing something like this, so I don't have to undo things. But I've got thread locker on it, and we'll just snug it down. It doesn't have to be tight, and you don't want to over tighten it. And we're going to clean things up just because that's how we are. That's why we leave things. We'll leave a little red out there to show that there is thread locker on it. This one, as I said, I tightened it down before. It's nice and snug. Then I've got two screws here, and I'm not going to, they do not penetrate the element base. So we're lucky about that. I was able to stop them short when we were drilling them, if you remember back in that earlier video. And all I'm going to do with these right now is just put them in place and tighten them down a little bit. I may have to shorten these screws. I don't think I have to. And that's where my grounding screws are going to go to, so that the base is grounded as well as the boiler. Because if you remember, we just put in those two gaskets, and those two gaskets, this one's going to be harder to get to because it's underneath the pressure stat, and I won't tighten it as tight because, like I said, they're going to come back out when I do my wiring, but I just don't want to lose them at this point, and I'm going to make sure I know what I'm doing. Well, let's grab another screwdriver. This one's turned out to be, I do have different, these are brass screws, so they're not magnetic. You can't hold them. But I do have a screwdriver from my buddy Al that allows me to, he left it behind for me, allows me to hold screws like this. Yeah, I'm not going to bore you anymore with this. I'll get it in on its own. So, we'll tighten this up. These are tightened up. I'll put that screw in, and then I'm moving forward here. What I started to say is that we put these gaskets on both sides of this flange, so technically the base is isolated from the boiler. So it's not grounded. So if you ground the base, the boiler's not grounded, or vice versa. So you want to do is ground both. You want to make sure that there's a good bonding wire between the two. Also, what I wanted to say is that this, I remember when I first started doing my cleaning, this pressure stat tube was totally clogged. That's why the pressure stat wouldn't work. We did install a new pressure stat while we're at it, but I think the old one might have worked, but it's old, it's 30, 40 years old. So we might as well put in a new one while we're at it, and I was able to reuse the pressure stat tube.